Hi, I'm Lauren Nicholson, and welcome to Fit Equine.
If only for a moment. Oh, this could be my last chance.
We're gonna get ready to tack up. One of the things that can be super confusing is there is a lot of different tack out there and gadgets and everything else. There's no right or wrong answer to everything, but I will just go through with you the stuff we use. One of our philosophies, we like to keep it simple. I don't like a lot of gadgets. We don't like a lot of extra stuff. So it's a little bit, what you'll see here is just the basics of what you can use to event successfully and go ride your horse. So to start out with, my favorite saddles are Butets. We obviously have a great partnership with them and Sagme. But so to get ready to jump my horse Hendrix today, I've pulled out his saddle, which we are lucky enough that they are custom fit for our horses and it's made of wool so it can be adjusted for him at any time. Next thing we grabs our girth. You obviously have leather girths and fleece girths. We like to use fleece girths a lot, especially in the winter when they're freshly clipped. Keeps them from getting rubs and sores. Both are great. I always compete in a leather girth. It's just a little more solid, a little more secure. But when we're training at home in the winter, we like to use the fleece girths. They're just more comfortable and it keeps from their dry skin from getting rubs and everything else. Next thing we will grab is in this cabinet. And we have an assortment of half pads and saddle pads and such. One of my favorites are these thin line fleece pads. They offer a lot of shock absorption, and with the fleece and everything else, I find they're really comfortable and fit the saddles well. And then we will pull out our jump pad. And then you have an assortment of things you can put on their legs. And different things suit different occasions, right? So I'm just schooling at home. I just want something to be a protection barrier from if he hits his legs on himself or a stick or the rails. So these are just regular brushing boots, wolf boots, front and hind. The other types of boots you can use, this is called an open front boot. It's used a lot show jumping, and it does have a bit of a hard back. So if they strike the back of their tendon, it offers more protection. And then an open front that really just kind of, so if they hit the rails, it hurts more than not, right? It just is a little bit basically keep them to hopefully not want to hit the rails too much while also offering protection so they don't hurt themselves. You also have your assortment of polo wraps, which you can see are very neatly organized by Sally. But the polo wrap is great and you can use it for any occasion really. And it really offers the same kind of protection as a brushing boot. The one benefit for a polo wrap is if you have a horse that gets boot rubs easily or has a cut on their leg or something that the boot is going to be rough against a rub, the polo wrap is always a great option. The other thing we sometimes put inside our polo wraps are these escadron wraps. And they really just offer another level of protection. So sometimes, especially like if a horse has a big splint or something, like it's an awkward bump on their leg and sometimes typical boots won't fit well, but you want a little more protection than just the thin layer polo wrap, you can put this on. So if we use these, we just wrap them around the front leg and then use a polo wrap over them. But today for Hendrix, we just have our brushing boots, our fleece half pad, and our saddle pad. Next up, we will get a breastplate and bridle. You can see here we have all the horses' bridles set out. We do use a jump bridle and dressage bridle for each horse. It's not always necessary. It just saves us a bit of time with if the horses go in a different bit for jumping than dressage. Hendrix goes in a full cheek snaffle for jumping and then just a loose ring snaffle for dressage. You know, you can get into a lot with bits. There's a lot of different bits for a lot of different occasions. For me, I always prefer new horse, anything else. You always want to start with the kindest mouthpiece and go from there. And you have some people that are very firm believers in French links or turtle top bits that have this second joint to it, or people that just believe in the single jointed snaffle. I think it's really the horse's preference. Some of the horses prefer the single joint, some prefer the double joint. Or you have some that have really soft mouths that were like these rubber Nath bits. This is actually the bit that Vermiculus, my top horse, goes in. So it's really something you just have to let the horses figure out. But I always try to live by the rule of thumb that I should be able to school them and jump them and gallop them at home in a snaffle. And if I can't, if I feel like I need more bit at home, then they need more training. You don't want to try to substitute good training with just making a bigger or sharper bit, because it'll end up you'll run out of bit at some point. You have to put more bit, more bit, more bit. They're not going to get more sensitive the more bit you put in. So it's always a good rule of thumb. You want to be able to ride them in a snaffle. And if you can't, then you need to do more training. And then I like these types of breastplates from Dion. They're just very simple. They've connected the girth and at the sides of the saddle, go over the top of the neck. They hold your saddle in place. They're a little bit of a strap in case you lose your balance, but they're just simple. I'm not a big fan of the breastplates that have a bunch of different points of connection, but I think it's important to have one, even not so much to keep saddle on. Yeah, you're supposed to have a good fitting saddle and slide around. I actually love them just so I have a little strap to grab onto if my horse is being naughty. You know, even no matter what level you're at, sometimes you need to hang on. So now we've got our tack all together. We'll go out and get Hendrix and get him ready.